What if I told you 2025 quietly turned into the year celebrity love unraveled? No huge scandals, no dramatic public meltdowns, just breakup after breakup that nobody saw coming. 19-year marriages ending, long engagements falling apart, 8-year relationships slowly fading out. One moment everything looked solid, and the next it was over. This year didn't just end relationships, it flipped the script. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban finished after almost 2 decades. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom, distance pulled them apart right in the middle of a world tour. Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin, 8 years together, and it still came to a quiet close. And they weren't the only ones. These aren't rumors or clickbait, they're real splits with real reasons. Careers, distance, timing, and non-stop pressure finally caught up. So stay with me, hit subscribe, and let's break down the biggest celebrity breakups of 2025, who split, and what really caused it. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban. The shock that started it all. This breakup honestly still feels unreal, and it sounds like Nicole Kidman felt the same way. After 19 years of marriage, the Oscar-winning actress filed for divorce from her husband, musician Keith Urban, in September. And here's the part that really stunned people. She was reportedly blindsided by it. Just imagine that for a second. Almost 2 decades together, and suddenly divorce papers land in your lap without any warning. When you look closer, the story gets pretty heartbreaking. According to sources, the intimacy between them had faded, and they were basically just going through the motions of being married. They had already been living apart since the summer, and insiders say their lives were slowly pulling in different directions. Keith had battled addiction in the past, and Nicole stood by him through all of it. But somewhere along the way, the connection slipped. Not a dramatic blow-up, just that quiet kind of drifting where one day you realize you're more like strangers who happen to share a last name. What makes this split hit even harder is how different it feels from what Keith was saying just a few years ago. Back then, he openly praised Nicole for choosing love and pushing through the noise and negativity. Fast forward 19 years, and it's suddenly over. If this breakup proves anything, it's that even the strongest-looking relationships can change without warning. Life really does move fast. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom, the tour that ended a romance picture. This for a second. Katy Perry is traveling the world on a massive tour. Orlando Bloom is back home. They're engaged, they share a daughter, and on paper, this is supposed to be the fairy tale ending. Except it didn't play out that way. In June, after 9 years together, Katy and Orlando quietly called it quits. And the biggest reason was distance. Katy was non-stop on the road for her Lifetimes tour, while Orlando was barely seen anywhere near her. No public appearances, no red carpet support, nothing. And then came the moment fans really locked in. Orlando showed up alone to Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding in Italy, while Katy was busy performing. Social media went full detective mode, and people immediately started putting the pieces together. And that wasn't the only issue. Sources say Orlando had started feeling over it when it came to wedding plans. Katy was still holding on to that big, magical walk down the aisle moment. But Orlando, not Keith. My bad, these breakups are stacking up fast, just wasn't on the same page anymore. Even though they'd been engaged since 2019, they never actually made it to the altar. In the end, that engagement ring turned out to be just another part of the story that never quite fit. Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin, the 8-year slow burn. This one hurts because it didn't explode. It just slowly faded out. Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin officially ended things in June after an 8-year on-and-off relationship. And the word that really sticks? An insider said, "It felt final this time." Final. That alone says everything about how many times they must have tried, paused, retried, and hoped it would somehow click again. Here's where it gets heavy. Dakota genuinely loved Chris. She loved his kids too. Reports say she held on to hope far longer than most people would have. She was the one trying to keep the connection alive, while Chris was kind of just living his life. Another source put it bluntly. Their relationship has been over for a long time. They just haven't been able to figure out how to make it official. And yeah, that one stings. That's the kind of breakup that drags on because no one wants to be the person who finally says it out loud. And honestly, this situation feels painfully familiar. You care about someone. You're attached to their world, their family, their routine, but the relationship itself? It checked out a long time ago, so when it finally ends, it somehow feels shocking and inevitable at the exact same time. The pattern nobody's talking about. After going through all these breakups, one thing really stands out, and barely anyone is saying it out loud. Distance is absolutely destroying celebrity relationships in 2025. Look at Katie and Orlando, distance. Chase Stokes and Kelsey Ballerini? They called their relationship rocky and toxic, but career demands played a huge role. Jessica Alba and Cash Warren ended their 16-year marriage, and once again, work pressure kept coming up as a major factor. These aren't couples who just woke up one day and stopped loving each other. These are people whose careers slowly pulled them apart. Constant travel, non-stop touring, packed schedules. There was just no room left for real connection. When you're living in different cities, different time zones, sometimes different continents, keeping intimacy alive becomes a full-time job. And eventually, a lot of them just stopped fighting the distance and let the relationship go. Other major breakups that hurt us. Some of these splits didn't come with drama. They just hit hard in a quiet way. Take Nina Dobrev and Shaun White. Their breakup came down to a real-life crossroads. She wanted marriage and kids, and he, well, depending on who you ask, wasn't on the same page. Either way, they wanted different futures, and that's the kind of breakup where no one's the bad guy. It just hurts because timing didn't line up. Then there's Candy Burris and Todd Tucker. After 11 years of marriage, they decided to end things following what they described as deep thought and a lot of prayer. That alone tells you this wasn't impulsive. It sounds like two people who truly sat with the decision and chose intentionally to move forward separately. And honestly, there's something strangely respectful about that. Jacob Elordi and Olivia Jade? Yeah, that on-again, off-again cycle finally stopped. After 3 years of breaking up, getting back together, and doing it all over again, they officially ended things in October. At some point, chemistry just isn't enough to keep pulling two people back into the same loop. And then there's Tim Burton and Monica Bellucci. On paper, they looked like the ultimate artistic, gothic dream couple, two creatives who just got each other. But after 2 years, they quietly went their separate ways in September, releasing a joint statement focused on respect and care. Even the most poetic love stories don't always get a forever ending. The takeaway. If 2025 showed us anything, it's just how much pressure celebrity relationships are under. Love alone isn't enough anymore. Now it's about packed schedules, career priorities, clashing lifestyles, and whether two people actually want the same future. These weren't quick, messy breakups. We're talking about very public endings to relationships we've watched grow and change for years. So yeah, 2025 was brutal for celebrity couples. But maybe, for some of them, walking away was the healthiest move. Sometimes chasing your own path makes more sense than holding on to something that's clearly no longer working. Now I've got to ask, which breakup hurt you the most? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe for more celebrity tea. Because honestly, there's no way 2026 can top this, right?